Okay, let me answer this, and I'm probably going to annoy some people in the game industry because I'm going to talk about something we don't talk about and something that happened, and that is the bubble of salaries. And so this is talking about why having these crazy exorbitant salaries. I'll get to the other part at the very end because it's weird. But the salaries themselves were a factor of money flowing into the industry. So at the time, there's a bunch of free money. This is pre-pandemic. Everybody's just going wild. Nobody knows where to put their money. It's hard when you have a lot of money where to put it where you can make more money. It's a weird problem. And if you personally have money, just put it in an ETF. I don't think you're smart. But okay, but for these companies and these investors, they had to put their money somewhere, and they looked at games after technology, and they said, "Oh, we put it in games," because they saw other companies moving into this space, and there's money for everybody, right? This is when Epic was getting these giant billion-dollar investments, and so what they do is they hire a bunch of people. Meta is going to go after the freaking metaverse, so they hire a ton of people, right? And our studio, we started at the beginning of the bubble. We were like the first of the people getting money in because I knew a bunch of the people. But a bunch of other studios started after us, right? Or around us, and just getting, millions and millions of dollars to make games. And so when we started, we were already running into the problem of, hey, we want to hire senior people because we want to give them autonomy and agency so that they can make the best game that they want to make with us all making it together. And the problem is they all wanted a lot of money. Anybody who came to work for me ended up taking a pay cut. Some people like directly were getting paid this and then took this to come work with us. That was great. I appreciate it. But they also lost out of there was just crazy money. We had somebody who actually multiple people came in for an interview that was talking about Meta, and the Meta is offering them like $1 million a year. I can't afford that. That means we'd have 3 people work on our game for 1 year, kind of thing, right? No. We gotta sort this out. But that meant that you had fewer people working at these indie studios, but getting paid more money, which became a problem. And it became a real problem with people like Probably Monsters, who I talked about, I had somebody, like I said, very nicely say, hey, I'm not going to come work for you. I would have, but they're paying me so much money, and we're already paying a lot of money. And Probably Monsters is hiring people. This person wasn't even that senior, not twice as much, but a lot more. And they're doing it because there's no other way they can compete, because other people are like, hey, they think these other companies are safe. I can go work at Epic and I'm never going to get laid off. How does that work out? But right, this is what how these people think, or the other perks that you get of the 12 years maternity leave, or your health care, and all kinds of other things that we just can't compete against. Even though we want nice things for all of our employees and be nice to them, we can't compete with that. And so we had to make a choice, and we just set a dollar amount and said, this is what we'll pay. We don't negotiate. You can take it or not. We set a set amount because we found when we actually negotiated salaries, the nice, quiet people were getting paid less than the kind of more boisterous people. And we thought that was unfair, and that was the nicest people were getting paid the less. And that was just a sucky thing. So we thought this is a lot easier. And we actually gave people raises and made it flat for everybody. So everybody was getting paid the same, except for me. I was getting paid a third of that because I have money. I don't need the salary to live, and I'd rather have the game come out than make my yearly salary. But that's how we did it. And it was really hard at the end to recruit anybody, because salaries during the pandemic then just went insane. And I know I'm friends with people who run hiring agencies, very nice people. They were making money hand over fist. Now they're laying people off. So the problem is none of this was sustainable. Unless all the money coming in just kept going up, it just wasn't sustainable. And these salaries just aren't sustainable. These aren't it used to be hey, you want to not make any money, come into the game industry. And for a few years, it was you want to make a lot of money, come in the game industry. And it inflated salaries to an unsustainable place for a lot of studios. That's the truth. It sucks. It sucks, because it's great people getting paid well. Don't get me wrong, right? There's some studios that still pay well, right? I was paid super well at Valve. And they still do. Right, and there's other studios like that, and there's other successful studios and stuff. But you will see, out of my class of people who left companies and started companies, I only know a handful of people who shipped. People who didn't ship, almost everybody's closed down, or they're going to close down, or they're just lying about it because they don't want to get into it. Because that wasn't sustainable for indie studios to make a game at that level with that money, because you couldn't have enough people working. Now, I shipped because I will ship your game. If you need your game shipped, I can help you do that. I know how to ship games. I know how to focus on what's important and get it over the hump. Right, and go. And we're still working on it. God, I should talk about what we were doing this weekend, or this last week, just because it's so stupid at making games. So much time goes in weird places. But that was it. It was the unsustainable salaries. And so that led to a lot of layoffs because there was a bubble. And now as people are getting rehired, they're getting rehired for less. And it was one of those things I've had to have a talk with a couple of friends who would be like, hey, I know this person's hiring. I can help get you in here, but you're getting paid less. That's the reality. That's the reality. And I know some people who at the beginning of this cycle didn't take the less pay, who still don't have a job, who wish they would have taken the less pay. And it sucks. It sucks. I am not gleeful about that. I'm not happy about that. Our studio, as we go forward, I interact a lot with the community. And in fact, Val, our last engineer, we were her first job in the game industry for reals. And she was amazing. And I got her a job at another place, which is really great because she can advance and learn and just become amazing there. And that realization of like those kind of people who are coming from the community who are about these things, you can kind of walk into this differently. It's not that you're exploiting them, but it's kind of like you're pairing opportunity with their place. Does that make sense? I always worry about exploitation a lot, right? And it's one reason why I don't take money out of the company myself, because I worry about that. In fact, I put money in because making games. But I look at that as the model forward and think about that a lot. And how can we do something? And how can we do something with the community? But then how do you pay back the community because you don't want to be exploitive? Because what you're saying here at the end of like, why don't you start them at some rate and then if they work out, like you build it up, or like, there's like a bunch of different decisions being made. And that means somebody at the top is making money, and why you're not getting money because of their decisions or something. And like, and you're going to move across country and hey, maybe I'll get paid more. Like it's just none of it works that way. None of that works that way. But that's why we were in an inflated bubble of game salaries. Some people have held on and they're making good money. Awesome. And some people are finding that as they re-enter the industry or look for a new job, that they're not able to find the same kind of opportunities. And I do not say that gleefully. I do not dismiss that. I do not, like, that is a struggle that sucks, that's hard, that's impactful, that is life-changing for some people. But that's where we are. And I don't think we talk about that crazy bubble that happened because, like I said, Meta was just pouring money into the system. Epic was just pouring money into the system. These big studios, Ubisoft was pouring money into the system as the only way to retain talent. And it just wasn't sustainable. And now we'll figure something out. Yeah.